Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of The Other Side of Addiction. Man, we got a really good show for you today. We have Dr. Robb Kelly, who is a renowned addiction expert. This guy was born and raised in Manchester, UK. Now, are you a big Manchester soccer fan,
I
Dr.
am at Manchester United. I work for them for the Swat Miles, so David Beckham and Roy Keane, all my friends.
Holy cow. Damn, that would be fun.
Yeah.
So, just so you guys know, Rob has overcome homelessness, alcohol dependency, trauma, PTSD, and MDD and whirlwind of events to be actually really known as the Gordon Ramsay of the addiction treatment world. You know, before Rob succumbed to addiction and mental health issues, he played bass guitar at Abbey Studios with Queen. Oh my gosh, that is so freaking awesome. David Bowie and Elton John. He is an accomplished musician, and the money he made helped him attend Oxford University to pursue a PhD in psychology. Rob experienced a spiritual awakening on the cold streets of Manchester while homeless and in dire straits. Yeah, Dr. Rob, I love you already because I mean, all those guys that you've played with, I love them. I'm a huge fan of Queen and David Bowie, and gosh, you've lived a hell of a life already. This is pretty cool.
Yeah, I came from the projects and we never had any money, and I don't know what it was inside me. But an old man sat on a bench while I was waiting for the school bus, and he said to me, "Hey, son, can I ask you a favor?" And I said, "Yeah, what is it?" He said, "Do everything and anything you can. Never turn anything down. You can do it. You're amazing." And I'm only like 9 years old, but that's what I've done when opportunity comes. And when I met my wife 9 years ago, I'm telling her this stuff, and she's like, "Oh, yeah, it seems a bit far fetched." But then I went on national TV. I was on The Doctor, the 8 million people. I'm on Oprah. And she's like, "Oh my God!" It's like, you've got to live. You've got to do it today. We spent
Yeah.
too many times crying for this disease and homeless and lots of children and stuff like that. I don't know, man. I live every day as if it was my last. I really do.
And that's a great way of living it. And you didn't, that's why I love about being involved with the recovery community. Because I would say 95%, if not even more than that, of the individuals that I get to meet on my show, they understand life, right? Because they've been in the depths of hell and they have figured it out, whatever it was for them. And they live life like you said. They live it like today could be their last day and they are just happy. And I mean, they say, we have bad days, right? Everyone has bad days, but we don't let those bad days determine our outlook on life.
No, definitely. And when someone said they have a bad day, I always say to them, "Was it really a bad day, or 10 minutes that you're strong out all the day?" But yeah, I definitely have great days. I have better days than others, obviously. But I think once you've been to where we've been and come back from that, uh, when you see this new life, alcoholics and addicts get to live two lives. We're the only people that get to live two lives. So I kind of thought I made a mess of the first one, but as I go into my second life, I realize that my past becomes my greatest asset going forward. And that's what people like. I'm raw, it's me. The Gordon Ramsay thing, who's a friend of mine, that stuck because I'm always cursing and getting excited about stuff. And I've calmed down over the last year or two, but I'm just excited about this life, man. I mean, everybody can have this. Just if you knew how the brain works, knew how the mind works, knew about the childhood trauma, and how you can recover from this and be anybody or anything you want. When you understand all that, the blinkers come off. And
Yeah.
the good news is you get your feelings back, and the bad news is you get your feelings back. But you're open to the world, and you start seeing the world for what it is. And them guys that you looked up to are kind of winging it, no better than us. You can achieve whatever you want to achieve.
And I agree with you 100%. It's like when I started this podcast, I was just on a call just right before you and I jumped on, and the gentleman said, what got you to do the podcast? And did you know about podcasts? I didn't have a freaking clue about podcasts. Matter of fact, when someone mentioned it to me, I'm like, what's a podcast? I never even have listened to a podcast. And I was scared to death. First time that I walked into a studio because I happened to meet a gentleman that had a radio station. And I told him what my idea was, and he goes, "I freaking love it. Come on in and my studio's yours." I remember how scared I was because I didn't know how this thing was going to go.
Yeah.
However, I have taught myself in the last 14 years that if it scares the living shit out of me, that's my sign to do it. Yeah,
Yeah.
because I need to move forward.
I think the saying is that no champions are born out of staying in the comfort zone. You
Yeah.
know, and I try and step out of that every day. I get my patients to step out, you know, complimentary people, you know, talking in an office you're not supposed to speak in, get the bus to the car. It's like constantly learning, constantly changing. Because what I found with my past life is when I get stationary and don't move, I become stagnant. And when I become stagnant, I relapse. So I've got to continue to keep growing every day. I mean, we're up here with the heights of what we do today. We're very proud of what we do. We're a multi-million-dollar company with 5 offices around the world. But do you know where my feet are? They're still in the trenches, and they'll always be in the trenches. So we love what we do because we do what we love.
Yeah. Yeah. Dr. Rob, what the heck got you? I mean, you said that, you didn't grow up you grew up in the projects. Life had to be tough. Is that what got you into the addiction? Because usually there is some kind of life event or trauma that causes people to go a different direction.
100%. You know, the gateway drug is childhood trauma, without a doubt. Everybody has trauma. Alcoholics and addicts are more sensitive, and alcoholics differ slightly from drug addicts. It's hereditary, so it's passed down from generation to generation. And drug addicts have the addictive personality. So there's 3 parts of my brain as an alcoholic I'm born with. The hypothalamus, the basal ganglia, and the amygdala doesn't operate like anybody else's operate. So when I take the first drink, I'm done. It's a ticking time clock to when I finish. So I'm actually, the biochemical reaction that happens with alcoholics is I'm actually allergic to the ethanol in alcohol. So I have that mental obsession. So my brother and sister were fine, but the minute, and you will know this, the minute I took my first drink at the age of 9 on stage with my auntie and uncle, the whole freaking world just went crazy for me. It's like I can, I don't know, it's like rock. The first half I was nervous. I came off and my uncle said, pull yourself together, there's like hundreds of people out there. And I was so nervous, man. So he gave me a glass of beer and I drank that beer, man. And oh my God, I went on the second half and I rocked it. And I knew from then on that this was going to not only become my best friend, but this is going to save me from being that child, that nervous kid, that bullied kid at school, to rocket me into a life beyond my wildest dreams. And for a long time it did. But you know as well as I do, there's a point. Here's the point with alcoholics. When we're drinking and we drink every day, blah blah blah. When we at a certain point of our career, we slide into chronic alcoholism. So what people don't know, and our trials and tests over 10 years, 15 years tells us that the hypothalamus, which is our survival instinct, so it tells me to drink water, eat food, tells everybody to do that. The babies are born with it. It's a survival, fight or flight part of the brain. At a certain point of my drinking career, the hypothalamus changes and tells me to drink alcohol only. That's why we can go weeks, days or weeks without food or water. So the new science that we bring to alcoholism is exciting. But yeah, first drink, I was done, man. I was done.
That was like first time I did my first line of cocaine, age 17. Got out of high school, started working construction, sitting home alone one day. All the other guys took off to I was living in Colorado at the time. They took off to go to one of the bars I didn't want to go. Buddy comes over, he's got some cocaine. It was like 2 weeks after John Belushi overdosed
Wow.
on cocaine.
Yeah.
And he's like, come on, man, do some. I don't want to do it alone. And I refused for a while. Man, when I did that first line, I was like you, I was like in heaven. I'm like, oh my gosh, this stuff is amazing. I've never felt this way before. I didn't go into addiction then. The issue was I didn't realize where that first line of cocaine was going to take me later in my life, right?
Exactly. I mean, we just don't know. But I did research on the kids I grew up with, and it's like, hey, do you remember when you took your first drink? Not really. But I knew when I tasted it, I spat it out. It was horrible. I'm like, wow, I can tell you what time it was, exactly what stage I was on, what the beer was, and how I felt right there and then. And it wasn't spit it out and throw up. So that should have been an indicator. But back in when I was playing around, oh God, when I was really playing about 72, 73 to 79, I think, it was part of the deal. You know, if where I come from, it's a tough area. You either fight or you get beaten where I come from every day. It was tough, man. It's a bit like Beirut with lights. It was really tough. But I knew that there were signs all over the place. You know, people say to me today, go, Dr. Robb, you know, can you see signs? There are signs all over the place. Nobody just gets up one day and ends up having a heroin problem. It doesn't happen like that. There are signs, and the signs are there's so much depth in that childhood trauma. Everybody has trauma. Childhood trauma is a killer. And when we can't correlate the both as an adult, why we act like this is because of this. You go, wow, no way. It's like what we perceive in the house, our caregivers and parents shows a certain way. So I think every time my dad comes home, I listen for the key going in the door. And if it doesn't hit it first time, I know there's going to be trouble. You know, crazy things like that. When I grow up, I'm going to be that person. Or if it's the woman or the little girl, she's going to grow up to marry that person. Because what happens, anything outside that dysfunctional household feels uncomfortable for me. So I'm going to self-sabotage that. And you find this in relationships a lot. I'm going to dump you before you dump me because I know that you're going to dump me. It's that mental, it's the trauma. Get that cleared up. You can accomplish anything. And I used to get this as well. Well, I can't be president of the United States. Okay, forget your political views for a second. We had a freaking business around the country. Don't dare tell me you can't accomplish your dreams. It's just not true. So if you're sat at home thinking, I'm never good enough, I'm never going to amount to anything, first of all, I want to apologize to you because somebody's put that there. We are born with $1 million minds. Stop hanging around 10-cent minds. Show me your friends, I'll show you your future.
Yeah, you're 100% right. And it's crazy what you just said because that's exactly what happened with my wife's and I relationship, right? When she fell into addiction. You know, I was coming out of mine and she was going into hers. And she tried her damnedest to self-sabotage our relationship because you know she had other relationships where she was either abused either physically or verbally, and she's like, hey, I got this great guy, but you know he's going to leave me anyway, so I might as well help him out the door.
Isn't that crazy?
I know, right?
And these patterns, these are the signs. You know, if you don't heal from the guy that cut you, you're going to bleed all over the next person. So when we move into a relationship, we carry all that stuff, and then the new husband pays for that in all sorts of crazy ways. It's like you've got to heal them wounds before you can be the person that you were always meant to be.
Right. Now, was that your drug of choice? Was just basically alcohol, or was it a lot more?
I used to take speed when I used to be a bodybuilder and a fighter, so I take speed to cut down weight. But alcohol was the one for me. Alcohol is, yeah, when there was speed around, a little bit of cocaine, I guess. Never smoked weed, just didn't get that. But alcohol every time. Yeah.
Wow. And you know, I learned a hard lesson for our listeners if they don't understand. Alcohol is one that you just basically cannot stop cold turkey.
No.
'Cause it can definitely kill you. And, you know, my wife, when she'd go on her week binge and then finally stop because her body was just shutting down. Because, like you said earlier, no water, no food, just alcohol. She would sit there and be having the shakes and go, if you don't go get me a bottle, I'm going to die. I thought it was her manipulating me, right? I got to have a bottle. And then one day I was talking to her therapist when she went to one of the recovery centers here, and she goes, Al, no, she's 100% right. I'm like, you've got to be kidding me.
Yeah.
I had no clue someone could die who's an alcoholic that just stops cold turkey.
Yeah, it's very dangerous, very dangerous. And we always, when we're picking somebody up personally to take them somewhere, first thing I ask the wives or husbands, is there alcohol in the house? I've thrown it all away. You need to go and buy a bottle. And we'll get them, pick him up, but you need, and the husband's husband tries to tell us sometimes, he said, I've got to keep drinking. She goes, there's no way, picks the phone up. And I go, yep, you don't understand. I think alcohol's the only drug, if you want to call it a drug, that can kill you coming off it. Now the rest, you may feel like you're dead coming off it. I think alcohol will spike and you'll go into fits and convulsions and everything will start to slow down. The respiratory system will slow down and boom, your heart stops.
Man, how long did you go through your addiction before you finally said, enough of this, man? I'm putting down the shovel. Life's got to change.
Well, I had a spiritual awakening on the streets when I was homeless after 14 months. I tried everything, Alan, to stop. I mean, I tried. When my first baby come along, my wife says, "Will you please stop drinking now? We're a proper family." I took a Bible to the hospital, and when the baby was born, first of all, give it to mom, and then the doctor give it to me, and I give it back to mom, and I got a Bible out, and I said to the doctor, "Will you stay for a second?" I put my hand on the Bible, and I swore to my child, my wife, and the doctor that I never drink alcohol again. That was the worst 4 hours of my life because I was drinking after 4 hours. I had no intention. And you know something? If you'd have put me on a lie detector, I would have passed because I truly, honestly believe I would never drink. So when my second child was born, I took 2 Bibles to the hospital. Same routine, both hands on 6 hours. That's all I lasted. So when people say it's a choice, you know, when you cross over into full-blown alcoholism, the choice is taken away because of the hypothalamus. Mental obsession, they call it, for the normal people out there. Mental obsession, I'll get away with it, blah, 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 it'll be different this time. And this is what mental obsession sounds like, guys, for those who don't know. Oh, drink, 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 all the time. And the only way you're going to stop that is to take alcohol and everything seems to calm down. So we don't have a choice. Now, drug addicts, again, slightly different. It's only slightly, guys, and we've done all research on this, but it's the same thing. It's not something that you can do. If you can, and here we go again with the alcoholic, it's like there's a huge difference between the alcoholic and someone that abuses alcohol. To the layman, they both look the same. It's like, oh, Johnny's drinking every day, he's an alcoholic. Alcoholism is the only self-diagnosed illness in the world. 10 DWIs do not make an alcoholic. Warning from the doctor, not the alcoholic. You know what it does when it gets inside you. I ask a couple of questions. Is alcoholism in your family? No. Okay, have you checked 3 generations back? Yeah, you're probably not alcoholic. You probably abuse alcohol, which seems the same. But it's that 3 parts of the brain. It's the generational predisposition that we have. But there's a difference. You can scare a heavy drinker into stopping drinking. You know, you go to the doctors. If you don't stop drinking, Rob, you're going to die. I'm out of there. I'm never going to drink again. But the alcoholic, you can't scare us into not drinking. It doesn't work like that. An alcoholic is not somebody who drinks too much alcohol. You can't drink yourself into being an alcoholic. It's totally different than the abuser. And this is what we found over the last 10 years with our research, is we're trying to make the public aware. There's a difference between the Friday night drunk and the Friday night alcoholic. One needs hospital, one needs prison for the night or jail for the night. You know, but we mix it all up in one. He's an alcoholic, he drinks too much. I knew people that drank more than me. They wasn't alcoholics. It's what happens when that stuff gets in my system. First of all, the mental obsession, and then when I take that, the allergy. Alcoholics are the only people that have the allergy to the ethanol in the alcohol. That means we can't stop, because if we do, we get physically sick. So it's a continuing cycle all the time. And unless the hypothalamus changes, the basal ganglia changes, the amygdala with the trauma is worked on, you will always relapse.
Jeez. Still, what was it though that got you to open your eyes? Because you said even when your second child, what was it, 6 hours? It was worth 6 hours. And apparently that means that you started drinking again after the 6 hours.
Yeah, I did. But I was on the streets for 14 months and 7 suicide attempts. On 2 occasions it worked. They brought me back to life on the side of a dirty, smelly road. But it was around 14 months. I was walking down where the factories are, you know, they're all just offices, there's no houses, 2 or 3 o'clock on a Monday morning. And I dropped down to my hands and knees and I started crying like a baby from my stomach. It was pouring down with rain. And I wasn't crying because I'd lost my wife, my kids, my houses, my cars. I was crying because the first time in my life at the age of 28, I realized I couldn't stop drinking. And it took all of that. I looked up to the sky as an atheist, having been molested by my choir master. And I said this, if there's a God up there, I can't do this on my own anymore. 30 seconds later, a guy walked around the corner in the middle of nowhere, He's missed his last person from a Bible study. He'd taken his shortcut. He'd been walking for an hour or something. He came across me. He said, "Do you need help?" I said, "Yeah." He says, "I'm an alcohol in recovery. I'm a Christian. I'll take you back to my house." And that right there is where I started my journey back.
Holy cow.
I mean, it's worse than that. If you think that's bad, let me follow on for a second.
Oh, okay. All right. Yeah. Follow up, please.
So I get to his house and he said, "You can stay for as long as you want. I'm going to get you back you've got to come to AA with me. Well, I didn't like AA. I said I hated it. If you don't go, Rob, you can't stay here because I need you sober. So I went. The following night we went, and I'm sat in this room and I'm hating everything. Everyone's sort of boasting how much they used to drink and how unhappy they are in life. And this guy said, "My name's John, I'm a recovered alcoholic." It's like a white hair, little white beard, casual dress. And I said, "What did he just say, Derek?" And he said, "Recovered." I said, "You cannot be recovered, all this shit I've been through." So after the meeting, I went over to him and I said, "Will you sponsor me?" And he said, "No." But just before the ground opened up and swallowed me, he said, "I'll be your spiritual advisor for a period of 12 weeks. And sure enough, I walked to his house, left the house at 6, got there for 7, stayed with him until 8, back home for 9, every Wednesday for 12 weeks. That guy changed, talking about God, talking about philosophy, talking about steps and all this. He said, "Your life," and the last night he said, "Your life will change from tomorrow." And I said, "John, with the greatest respect, and thank you for seeing me all this time, but I'm living in the basement on a blow-up mattress. This guy, I don't know. My life can't change." The next day, Derek comes home halfway through the day, and he says, "Hey, Rob, the guy who sweeps the floor on the factory floor has just packed his job in. Do you want his job?" So I took that part-time job that led into a full-time job sweeping at the factory. So when I got my first pay packet, I went to the gas station and I bought John a little teddy bear and a card. And I went back to his apartment. But when I got there, the apartment looked a little bit different. So I'm knocking on the door and the woman from the right-hand side came out and says, "Can I help you?" I said, "Where's John relocated to?" And she said, "John." I said, "Yeah, John lives here." She said, "There's no in that apartment for 3 months that she'd lived there. She's obviously drunk and crazy." So I let her close the door into the other side. Now I'm banging a little bit harder because I'm confused. This big guy come to the door. "What do you want?" I said, Where's John moved to? John. And he said to me, "There's been no John there. You're crazy. That in actual fact, it's derelict. If you walk into that apartment, you're going to fall downstairs. There's no floor in it." So I'm thinking he's absolutely crazy. So I went back to the meeting where I'd met him 3 or 4 months ago. And I said to the same chairman, I went in and went, "Rob," I said, "Oh my God, you remember me?" He said, "Of course I remember you." I said, "Thank goodness for that. Where's John?" He said, "John." I said, "Yeah, the guy, they recovered. I was over near the coffee machine asking him to work with me." And he smiled. He said, "Rob, we thought you were praying. You were over near the coffee machine speaking to yourself." Never found that guy.
Holy cow.
Actually, in fact, when I got wealthy, we set one of the best private detectives in Manchester, England, and he couldn't trace him. And we never have. But what he showed me is part of my program today. That's why we have a 97% success rate as opposed to 3 to 5%. It's like there was something in that changed me, and I've been changed ever since.
Yeah, I mean, the whole time I had goosebumps all over me because I interviewed this lovely lady out of Canada, and her daughter had come on as well. And she was all wasted one night and got on a bus. And a gentleman tapped her on the shoulder. She turned around, she says, "There's this guy," and said the same thing, right? "Would you like some help?" And she's like, "Yeah." And he goes, "Well, I'm heading to a meeting. Why don't you come with me?" And she went to this meeting with this guy. And by the end of the meeting, he was gone. That was the start of her journey. And she's gotten on that bus many, many times before. Never found the guy. So I really do believe for me, spiritually, there are angels walking amongst us that are helping other individuals. And those in recovery and long-term recovery, I think, are angels as well, right? Because like yourself, you're putting your hand out. You have a 97% success is like unheard of in the recovery. And you know that, right? I mean, it's impossible, most people would say.
Yeah, it is. But like I said, we're a multi-million-dollar company with 5 offices, but I don't get involved in that stuff. My feet are always on the ground. I just want to be the Derek to somebody else out there. So when people call the office or something and I answer the phone, they go, "Oh my God," or "Can I speak to, or can you get a message to Dr. Rob?" And I go, "It's me." They go, oh my God, I can't believe it's you." It's like, I will never stop answering the phone to people that are suffering from addiction. In fact, I'm going to do something in a bit that puts my money where my mouth is I'm going to give you my personal phone number, guys. If you're in a spot, I'm going to give it you shortly. and you can call me and we'll go into that in a second. But yeah, it's in the trenches where I belong. And, you know, the other stuff makes my wife happy and pays the bills. But I don't get involved in the money side. It's like, I have to be Derek. That's what I was sent on this earth to do. And I've worked with about 8,000 people or so in the last 30 years. And 97% have recovered, you know. Not all of them drug addicts or alcoholics, but people want to get their life together. And then we specialized. We went into a 5-year studying of childhood trauma, and that broke it wide open for us. We went, this is the gateway drug. This is what people are missing. For instance, if the man is the alcoholic and wants to come to our program, the wife has to join him for 2 days a week. So it's 7 day a week, 1 hour a day, telehealth only. The wife has to join, because when the wife or partner is involved in the recovery of the guy, for instance, the success rate jumps up to 42% before we even start. It's stuff like that we're so au fait with, and we're so, like, I get excited about this stuff even today, 30 years on, and my staff are excited. And it's like, we can see what God can do. We can see what we can do. It's like, we don't take no for an answer. It's like, we're almost bordering on aggressive when we work with somebody, because like therapists will ask you how you feel. We'll tell you how you feel until you get your feelings back and they can describe them feelings. It's like, I want to save the world, but obviously I can't. But if I can change somebody's day on a weekly basis or a daily basis, then hey, I'm doing my job.
I love that whole thing. We've said quite a few times on our show, and a gentleman who's the executive director of a recovery place here in Salt Lake City called the Other Side Academy.
Ooh,
He
yeah.
is changing the freaking world, this guy too, right? And they're a 2.5-year program, 100% free, doesn't cost anybody a dime to come in. They're all self-funded, and he believes that as well, right? That the success rate goes up when you add the family into it. Because if you take somebody out of a dysfunctional relationship or family that don't understand addiction, like the majority of us on the other side, you go through a treatment and then you put them back in there. Like me, it took me 8 freaking years. I'm a slow learner, apparently. It took
Yeah,
me
me
8
too.
years to figure it out, because what I thought was helping my wife was doing damage.
Correct. And that's what people don't understand. It's, imagine 2 houses, guys. Okay, the alcoholics in this dysfunctional house. Let's say for a second, the house speaks English and recovery has its own language. So we take the guy out and let's say we stick him over here and we teach him recovery. Let's say that's German. So they're both, when we pick him up and put him back in the English speaking house, guess what? He's going to start speaking English. So unless both families can learn the same recovery language, and it's the part that always gets on and go, well, it's nothing to do with me. It's like, we don't, that's not what we're talking about. We don't, they go, okay, let me talk about Johnny. Whoa. It's not about that. It's about your trauma and your childhood trauma. I have no childhood trauma. Okay, well, explain this to me. Why have you let your husband come home for the last 6 or 7 months and beat you in front of your children? You've done nothing about it. Don't tell me you don't have childhood trauma. So when we heal together, we kind of bring them in. You know, like we're pulling them in. Both go to the different rafts and we're pulling them in. And then you're friends for life. You're invited to all our functions. When you finish our program, we pay for you to travel over first class and stay in our house with my family, and we're friends forever. You know, that's the kind of deal we're doing over here, because we're different to anybody else. If I'm not changing somebody's life today, what am I doing? And guys, I know what you're thinking at home, thinking, well, I can't change anybody's life. Listen, it's as simple as this. Next time you're in an area with a few people in it, sneakers are always best. When you see sneakers on someone that are nice, go, hey man, nice sneakers. And then watch him go past you, then turn around and watch him. He's going to look down his sneakers at least 2 to 3 times. Now you've just changed his mind. He's happy. He goes home to the girlfriend or wife because he's happy, she's happy. Then the mother-in-law, and it just goes on. You've just changed the world. With what? Nice sneakers, mate. Come on. Everybody can do it. And once you get into this state of mind, it's contagious. It's more contagious than drug addiction. It's like you start, when I was suffering from addiction, I infected everybody I come into contact with my alcoholism and addiction. Now it's a chance to infect everybody with this good sense of living, the happiness, the smiling. We need 4 chemicals every day to be happy, guys. Endorphins, go out and walk or get to the gym. 20 minutes, that's all I'm asking of you. Dopamine, compliment 3 people every day. Serotonin, get the social belongings, get the sunlight going. And of course, oxytocin, intimacy with someone else. I don't mean sex, hugging, high-fiving, get them 4 chemicals flowing. You cannot have a bad day. You have better days than others, but you can't have a bad day because you're living in the moment. Fear is based in the future. Regret, obviously the past. Trauma, past. Tomorrow, fear, anxiety. You've got to let that stuff go and live in the moment, because when you live in the moment right now at 3:01 on the 29th of June, I'm enjoying this conversation now. And that's what it's about.
Amen. Amen. I love your whole outlook on this, and I can see why you guys are so successful. I would like to see more facilities like yours, more facilities like, you know, the Other Side Academy here. There's another one called Red Barn Academy. They look at it the same way that you're looking at it, Dr. Robb, and their percent of success is a lot higher as well, right? And it's, I don't want to offend anyone. AA works for a lot of people, right? The 12 steps works for a ton of people. They've saved a lot of lives.
Yes.
However, I've met so many other people who have gotten out of, didn't work for them, right? And they went a different direction, like what you're talking about.
Yeah.
And that was something that my wife needed.
Yeah.
Right. Because when her public offender called me up and goes, "Hey, Al, the courts are sick and tired of watching her come in, and they're about ready to send her to the point of the mountain.
Yeah.
What do you suggest?" And I'm like, somebody needs to get in her effing head and find out what's causing her to drink, because it's not the alcohol. I know she wants to stop. She just doesn't have the tools to do it. There's something that she's masking with that alcohol, and we need to figure out what it is. No one would listen to me. No one would listen to me.
It's crazy. And yet you just hit it on the net. It's not the alcohol. So I'm stood outside a liquor store when I'm in drinking days. It's I have a vest on, string vest, a pair of shorts, flip-flops. It's snowing. It's below freezing and I'm sweating. It's 5:30 in the morning. I'm waiting for the guy to open this newsagent stroke liquor store. And now he opens at 6, but he sees me, he lets me in like normal. This one day that changed my life, guys. It's not about the alcohol. So I got my £10 and I'm shaking and I'm really going to go into DTs. And I put the £10 on the counter and I banging headache. And he put the bottle on. I went, this is what happened. Headache stopped, shake stopped, mood changed. I looked at him, I looked back at the bottle, not even opened it. And I went, damn, it's not about the alcohol. Because it isn't. People think it's not about the alcohol. I didn't have a drinking problem. I had a freaking thinking problem that would always self-sabotage. And I tell, when people hear it, they go, wow, really? It's not about the drinking. The alcohol is just a symptom of the disease, which is a mental illness that has an allergy that makes me sick. It's not the alcohol. It's like me having chicken pox. And Al, you're going, hey, Rob, I can see you got chicken pox. I go, how do you know? I can see the spots all over your body. Right. My answer is, that's the symptom of chicken pox. What I actually have is a viral infection that can kill me as an adult. They only see the spots. People only see the alcohol. It's got nothing, well, 1% to do. The same with drugs. You know, we did so much research. Did a research with 4 or 5 kind of friends that always relapse in. And we said this, we don't want to encourage you, but if you relapse, can you call us? And we'll drive you there. And they agreed to it. It was weeks, and then all of a sudden, boom, we got a call. I'm going. We picked them up. We drove them to the drug dealer. They went in, did what they got to do. We got by the car. We drove him home. What was the most intoxicating part of that journey, guys? It was the trip to the drug dealer. It wasn't the initial feeling. It wasn't the taking of the substance, especially heroin, because you're blacked out. It was the journey. Was the most intoxicating. So then we took it further. We did some experiments early days with pictures of heroin. We wired them up in a lab. Picture a picture of a bag of cocaine or heroin, and it went high. It was haywire. it's like, oh my God, it's not about the drugs and it's not about the alcohol. And that is why we've been so successful. It's like, what's it really about? You
Yeah.
know,
Yeah.
we don't drink because we enjoy it.
Right.
And every alcoholic ends up on vodka because A, it's cheaper than anything else, and B, we don't think you can smell it on our breath.
We don't
Like,
think.
really? Take a breath, man. Nobody can tell I'm drinking. It's
Yeah.
pouring out my pores all over the place. But yeah, 9 out of 10 times, vodka's the choice.
You know, I heard they did a study here at the University of Utah. I don't know how many years ago. It was quite a while ago, where they brought people in who had all types of addiction. Okay, drugs, alcohol, sex, porn, gambling, gaming, whatever it may be. They hooked the electrodes up to them. They did the same thing. They would put stuff on TV.
Yeah.
They realized the brain fired the exact same way for every single freaking addiction. So if
Right.
that doesn't tell you right then and there, it's not the substance. I
Right.
mean, what is
I
it,
know.
right? It's the head. It's
Yeah,
the
it's the head and the trauma. Now
Yep.
we did other experiments. We did we did 5 or 6 alcoholic houses, raging husband, and we monitored the wife, and then we monitored people coming back from Afghanistan, soldiers coming back. When it comes to PTSD and trauma, both brains lit up exactly the same. Both didn't know when it's going to be the last day. They're both walking around on eggshells. It was just phenomenal what the partner goes through, and the guy coming back from war. It's like it's trauma is what's causing this stuff. And the quicker you find out about that, the better. You know, I have 60 pair of sneakers, and I never knew why. I just used to buy them. I don't know. I mean, over the years, a therapist was with me only 6 months ago, Al, and I was talking about my sneaker collection. And she says, "Why have you got?" I said, "I don't know." She said, "Let's go back to your childhood. What do you notice about going to school?" I went, "Oh, my family could only afford 2 pair of shoes a year. So I'd often walk in the snow to school, holes in my socks, holes in my shoes." And then she said, "What does your mum and dad do on weekends?" I said, "Oh, they go to the bar. You know, they get drunk Friday night, Saturday night, and Sunday afternoon. That's their release." And this is what she said to me. "Does your mum and dad go to the bar with holes in their socks and shoes?" Wow. I'd start crying. And I realized that the correlation is very hard to do with yourself, but it dictates how we act today. You know, it really does. The smallest things, the biggest things. There's no such thing in our world between small T's and big T's. I know it's a big thing in therapy, not with addicts and alcoholics. It's not. They're all major traumas because we're sensitive and we hear things different, Al. This is another experiment from my childhood. Me and my brother, true story, were stood on the kitchen table, sword fighting or something. My mum walks in and she says to both of us, "Get down off that table. Get down before your father sees you." My brother jumps down and I freeze. Well, I've heard, "Get out of that table," because of the trauma. And alcoholics and drug addicts will always say, oh my God, the wife told me to do this and I took it like this. It's like, this is the disease. It's not about the substance.
I love that you said that because it's something that my wife, even though my wife is a certified peer support specialist and she's working in the recovery realm, you know, she still has issues with that, right? I could say something to her aggressive, like what you just said. She looks at it that she's done something wrong. And she hasn't. It's just me showing my aggression with the way I'm just using my vocals, right, to get my point across.
Yes.
She curls up in a ball
Yeah.
like she's done something wrong. And sometimes she'll say it and I'm like, no, this wasn't about you. I'm just voicing my opinion. You're not doing anything wrong. So that is something that she has been really working on because she still suffers from it.
Yeah, it's very hard to get away from that. Many years ago in Manchester, late 60s, early 70s, there was a young schoolgirl snatched off the side of the road. There's a huge manhunt. They couldn't find her. 9 months later, a police car's following another car down a country road, got a broken light at the back, pulls him over. Back in the day, you're allowed to search the car. There's a stolen screwdriver there, huh? When you find a stolen screwdriver, you're allowed to go back to the house, see what else is stolen. And sure enough, when they got there was lawnmowers, there was drills. But on the way out, they noticed this box in the corner. It was 4 foot high-ish and about 12 foot wide. And they said, we know you got more stolen goods. So they smashed the lock off and opened it. There was the girl that got snatched off the side of the road 9 months. He used to take her out every day. He used to abuse her, feed her, restroom, shower now and again, and back in the box for 9 months every single day. When they open the box, she's there. She's alive, but you could see she was beaten and bashed. The policewoman leant over. She took her hand and helped the girl start out the box. She took her police coat off and she put it around the girl. Guys, what's the first thing she did? She got back in the box. And that's what we do with our lives. It doesn't make a difference how painful it is. It becomes our safe place. And like your wife does the same thing. Doesn't matter what the voice or how it's delivered, we run back to that curling safe place. Japanese prisoner of war were examples of this, where they just disassociate and became a safe place for them to go. She got straight back in the box. What life is about is smashing that box to smithereens, realizing what it is, work with the pain and trauma around that incident and other childhood incidents, and start getting your freaking life back. Because we have one shot at this, guys. We have one shot. And I'll tell you something, most of the older people that we went to see on their last few days, mostly family and friends, I asked them one question, man. I asked, what's one thing you got to say and regret? And they all said the same. I thought I had more time. We don't have time, guys. Date that girl, buy that house, get that car, start that business, move that empire today. Don't wait. So our deal is 7.3 seconds. If I'm sat on the couch with my wife, Janet, I got a big bag of chips here, guys, a big mug of Coke, and I turn around to go, yeah, Janet, you know something? Gotta go to the gym tomorrow. Well, I'm not going to the gym tomorrow. I know it. She knows it. Even the dogs know it. I'm not going to the gym tomorrow. But if I get up within the first 7.3 seconds, I go into the bedroom, I get my sneakers, I get my shorts and towel, I put it near the front door, there's a good chance I'll go the next day. It's all about mindset. It's all about the neural pathways. Alcoholics and addicts have more self-sabotaging neural pathways than good neural pathways. So the idea is to change that to 80% good, 20%. When they say, oh, I was an alcoholic or a drug addict, you know, that means the traits. Doesn't mean you're going to relapse, doesn't mean anything like that. Get your life back. The traits. What are my traits? Or what's my traits? Selfishness, dishonesty, self-seeking, motives. All the time. When I get rid of those, you start to see what life is about. See, I don't want something from you. I want something for you. And people can't understand that. God, I can't understand why you're trying to help us. What are you doing this? See, my mind doesn't really compute that, Alan, when someone says, why are you helping me? Or, you know, I can't believe it's you on the phone. It's like, the minute I take my feet out of the trenches, I'm a dead man. I know that. I know that. It's a daily reminder for me.
You know, I don't know what it's like. You're in Texas, right? If I'm not
San Antonio, Texas. Yeah.
Texas. I don't know what it's like there. I'm sure it's like this all over the nation and all over the world. There are a lot of recovery places out there that we won't use as resources. And the reason why is because I feel like they're there for the money, not the individual. You know, I want to give resources to people who I know if they get that phone call or when they get the phone call or they walk in that door, those people are going to put their freaking arm around them and they're going to do everything they can to help them get their life back on track and also help them figure out who they are as individuals, right? Because they've been lost for so long. And it's a shame. It's just, it breaks my heart. And another thing that really upsets me, and I guess I'm going off in my own little tantrum, this shit with allowing insurance companies to have control of the life of our loved ones. It just, and my good friend Dave at the Other Side Academy is the one who opened my eyes to this, right? They don't know. Who says 30 days is going to cure someone? 60 days, 90 days, 6 months. You know, they're determining how long someone stays, and that's not long enough, right? So why do we allow? I don't know how we're allowing this to happen. And again, to me, it's about this. It's a revolving ATM for a lot of these places, and that's something that I want to share more by using my platform of the show and also getting out there. I mean, I've been up to the state capitol a couple times here. I'm doing my best to kind of get into some places to where now I can start voicing my opinion, because shit's got to change. We can save a heck of a lot more people. The thing is these companies, they don't want us to save ourselves, right? They want us medicated. They want us messed up in the head. That's just my view of it.
It's 100% true, because I'll tell you something, if you're running at a treatment center and little Johnny's come back for the fourth time and you're still charging him 30 grand a month, shame on you. Shame on you.
Yeah.
We know some great treatment centers, but there's a bunch out there that are just in it for them. Shame on you. I hope something really bad happens at the treatment center, you got to close down. Because what are you doing? You're teaching him relapse prevention, kicking him out and then waiting for him to come back and charge him. What, really? How do you sleep at night? How do you sleep at night? We're the only company in the world to offer a money back guarantee if you relapse while still following our program. Put your money where your mouth is. And talk about pharmaceuticals. I went head to head with Purdue. Head to head with a multi-billion-dollar company live on TV. You can Google it. You'll see me there arguing with their attorney. I ripped him apart. And I don't give a shit. Who's going to stop me? The next day, they filed for bankruptcy. They file for bankruptcy. You see, I don't really answer to anybody. So I'm really vocal on this. Where's your money back guarantee? If you're that good, where is it? Oh, well, we can't promise that. What? Well, get out of the industry.
Yeah.
And get somebody in who can. Yeah, you've got a business. It's awesome. You can earn money by doing this, but what's the return policy? It's just repeat business. It's good for some people. We don't like them. I hate them people and they hate me because we get people, and I'm good with that, Al. I'm just fine with that. But God, don't get me started on that. It's like, it's a pain in the backside. We won't even go. I'll fly you out. We'll put you in the best hotels. Why? So I'm not going to refer you unless I know you and I've been to the center and I'm happy with it. And there's only a bunch of treatment centers that I will. But there's no money in actual recovery, if you think about it. Unless treatment centers can charge you, insurance companies pay for it, and the pharmaceutical groups can medicate you, there's nothing left. Where's the money coming from? It's down to donations and whatever you can get to get people well. So it's all word of mouth when you start to get a reputation. I would rather go broke. And when I first came to America, I did. The first 4 years, I was working with most people free of charge because they couldn't afford it. My house was foreclosed on about 11 years ago. Everybody asked for help, didn't help me, So I went to any events to make sure you get well. I come back again when I met Janet and we started it all over again and we hit gold, obviously. But if you're not in it for the right reason, go work at Walmart.
Right. That's why I'm a huge supporter of the Other Side Academy and Red Barn, right? Because again, it doesn't cost any. They don't have to have insurance. They're not state funded. They're not federal funded. They're not insurance funded. They've grown their own business. They're the #1 moving company here in this valley. And these are ex-prisoners, ex-cons, addicts, thieves. And they're moving your personal items, and they have their own construction company. They have, I think, 3 thrift stores now, and that's how they fund it. They're allowing people to come in, and they work them hard. It sounds like you're very aggressive with the people that come in your door. They're very aggressive. However, it's the aggression that needs to happen to get them to open their eyes and see where life can take them, right?
This is. I mean, I come off aggressive sometimes, but it's passion. I don't mind getting aggressive with anybody that doesn't agree with us or anybody that's stuck in the disease and needs pulling out. I will take you in my office and I will curse you out and probably threaten to beat you up or anything crazy like that. As long as I grab your attention to come and work. I love people like them. I love people like us. It's human beings helping human beings. It doesn't matter how much money you've got. Why wouldn't you do that? Why wouldn't you put your money where your mouth is? All my staff in all 5 countries are recovered alcoholics and addicts. Most people that we employ to refer out are felons. Because I'll tell you something now, the alcoholic and addict that gets well, completely recovered from that BS that we go through, are geniuses. I'm telling you now, they're geniuses. And you get a felon that's come out of prison and wants another chance, we're all over that. We're all over it. 2 of my guys that are felons are working for us right now. It's like somebody needs to give them a chance, a second chance, because alcoholism and addiction is not a choice and it is not a behavioral problem. It's a we call it mental injury because we know you can get over it. It's a mental injury problem that can be fixed.
I love it. Yeah, it's Oh gosh, I had something, a question pop into my head. Now it just disappeared. Okay, let me ask you this. I think I already know what your answer is. Do you believe alcoholism and addiction is a disease?
100%. I'll explain why. 100%.
Okay.
Yeah. Alcoholism, like I said before, predisposition, chemical imbalance in the brain to allergic to alcohol. The hypothalamus changes over, tell us to drink. Okay. The basal ganglia is our repetition, strength, and confirms. If you imagine a face clock, everything's going great. We get the wife back, kids, and about 10 to the hour, we self-sabotage. That's the trauma. And the amygdala, which is like a smoke alarm for the brain, with the trauma and stuff. There are 3 different points of the brain that differ. Anybody has addiction, it differ from anybody else. We don't do that. We will self-sabotage if we don't sort it out. So anything that's a disease is something we can't control. The choice is taken off. If I get cancer, it's a disease. Why? I can't control it. It's just growing in my body. Same with alcoholism and addiction. And the World Health Organization in 1999 classed it as an illness, a disease, because there is no control. So anybody out there who thinks alcohol and drugs is a choice, I urge you to go and research that, because there's some great medical advice there that it's not. And I think the more we get that out, the better. And again, alcoholics and addicts are not all, strings around the waist, sat around the fire. Some of the richest men in the world, footballers, movie stars, government officials I've worked with, they're all ex-alcoholics and addicts. It's just like, you can recover from this stuff, don't get me wrong, but go into the mindset that you can recover. Just get the right person to work with you guys, family if possible, to get well. And B, don't let anybody tell you can't recover from this bullshit. Anybody, because they're lying. People always want to keep you down with an alcoholic and addict. People just spit on me, throw diapers at me when I was homeless. They don't want you to carry on. There's always one person in the family that does not want you to succeed. Okay? Find out who that is. Get someone who's really good at childhood trauma. Get somebody who knows about alcoholism and addiction. Break that cycle. Therefore, break the chain of alcoholism in your family and start educating kids when they're 7, 8, 9 years old that there's alcoholism or addiction in the family. That's a great start, to move up and move forward. Alcoholism and addiction isn't curable, but listen to this. Neither is the common cold or food poisoning, but there are a few simple rules to follow. I had food poisoning once, and I was like, I went to the doctor. He's like, "You're food poisoning, Dr. Rob. What do I do?" Drink lots of water and take these pills for a day or 2, and in 3 or 4 days, you'll be fine. I said, "Well, is there any cure for food poisoning?" He went, "No, but let me give you a few simple steps to make sure you don't get food poisoning again. Don't reheat the meat, the fat, the fruit, and watch the dates, and never suffered from food poisoning ever since." It's the same with addiction and alcoholism, guys. Do not think for a second there's no way out, because there is. What we say is, I have a 24 hours. I have a daily reprieve. A reprieve means a stay of execution. I have a stay of execution today. How can I change the world? How can I live my best life? How can I make somebody laugh? How can I dance in the morning with the wife or the girlfriend? This is living. You don't have time, guys. You don't have time. Let me ask parents a question. How many times do you say, "Well, I was taken into kindergarten and the next minute is going to college"? Precisely.
Yeah.
Precisely. You don't have time.
What are your thoughts? What are your thoughts on this? I don't know how many times when I went to events with my wife when she was in recovery, and I won't mention who these recovery centers are, where they said, "You will relapse. That's part of the process." What are your thoughts on that?
You're hitting all the buttons here. That
Right?
really
Well,
to my heart.
it's because I believe, just from our show thus far,
Yeah.
you and I are all, I'm looking at it the same way that you are, right? A lot of this stuff is really hitting home for me. And that's why I'm loving this show so much, because I'm like, okay, I know I'm not alone out there, but it's very hard to find individuals that are looking at this this way, right?
If you can't go to a bar or restaurant where alcoholism is served, If you can't go there, you're scared to go there, you stay away, or you might relapse, you're doing something wrong. You haven't recovered from the disease of alcoholism or addiction. We go places where there's alcohol. I can pour my wife, she only drinks twice a year. I can pour the wine out. It does not affect me. The compulsion to drink has been taken away, or it hasn't taken away, period. So you get out there, you have a ball, there's alcohol. What are you going to do? Lock yourself up? Lock yourself up forever because, hey, goodness me, I've just seen a commercial for vodka, so I need to drink. Listen, for them AA guys, step one says it all. And I know what you're going to say, guys. We know what step one means. We're all powerless over alcohol. Wrong. We admitted we were. I'm not powerless over alcohol. I passed 3 liquor stores on the way to the office today. I ain't powerless. In actual fact, it says I'm empowered. Empowered. And get a spiritual journey, clear that trauma up, and then do anything that you want to do. Don't be that girl in the box, guys.
Yeah.
You can go anywhere, do anything that you want to do. As long as you've got God, Uncle Jimmy, Spirit, whatever you want to call it, you walk with him, you take something to that occasion, you laugh. It's not the freaking alcohol, guys. It's here. Once this changes, but I will tell you something that we found out. When you have a psychic change, a change in neural pathways, okay, and a spiritual connection, a relationship, your DNA changes. Boom. Yeah, I said it. We did the work on it. Your DNA changes. That means you're not the same person when you recover from that BS as you were when you started your journey. We're different. It's like the butterfly and the chrysalis. It's the only creature on earth, when the chrysalis cracks open, a beautiful butterfly flows out. The DNA between the shell and the butterfly, they don't match. It's the same thing in recovery, guys. When we recover from the BS we're going through, our DNA doesn't match. It changes slightly. You're not that same person. So why wouldn't you go out everywhere that drink's sold? Why wouldn't you have a ball? It's awesome. It's absolutely awesome. And you'll get them guys, just have one drink, Rob, just have one drink. No, I'm good, really. I'm training for this, new marathon. I'm going, oh, good on you, good on you. Because, just go and do it, guys. Don't listen to that. People out there, I've got 1960s and 70s preconception about alcoholism and addiction. Most therapists are being taught from 60s, 70s, 80s textbooks. There's a new generation coming through right now, and we're leading this generation. Everything you know about alcoholism is BS. What you think you know about alcoholism is BS. It's not about the alcohol. You can change your mind around it. You can recover, and your DNA can change with that spiritual awakening and the psychic change we talk about. It's 100% guaranteed. So guys, if you're at home now and you're listening to this, this is where my money goes where my mouth is every time. People think I'm cocky. I ain't cocky. I'm excited. I want you to have what I have. I don't want to hold you down, man. Gee, if you want to learn everything that I do, come on, I will help you do it. But if you are sat at home and you are in that place that I was, Al was, wife was, where we don't think we're amount to anything, we don't think we're any good, we're not amount to anything. I want to apologize to you, first of all. Like I said, somebody's put that there. But secondly, 214-600-0210 is my personal cell phone number. 214-600-0210. If you're in that place, guys, all good to text first. I saw you on Al's show. I'll call you back. And here's the deal. I will give you a 10 or 15 minute pep talk that will change your freaking life. And if it doesn't, I'm going to send you $100 for wasting your time. Don't think for a second that you can't call me on the cell phone. Don't Google me first. Freak you out. Call me, text me. I'm going to do this together because that's what it's all about.
I love it. I love it. Dr. Robb, you can see the passion that you have. I mean, definitely. I've seen it throughout the whole show. I've watched a few of your other videos and some of the interviews and things that you've done. And I mean, I knew right away that you were someone that I wanted to have on my show. And it's so crazy how the universe works, because next thing I know, you guys are contacting me to come on the show. So I freaking love it. And I just want to say thank you. Thank you for loving people and giving them that opportunity to get their life back together, because it's possible. There are thousands and thousands of people, including yourself, myself, my wife, so many other people that I've met, that's proof of it, right? It's proof that it can happen.
100%, man. See, we're getting on really well because this is the best podcast I've probably ever done because we're relatable. We both don't take any crap of anybody. We've been a bit of a lad in the day. You know, we can fight, we can talk. These are the people I like, man. I just love the way you do it. But yeah, you know, we can go and have fun. Don't let anybody tell you different. Don't listen to that BS that they're telling you. It is wrong, man. I'm telling you, it's wrong. So be powerful, stand up tall, you know, keep your chest out high. I used to walk into rooms, Al, and I used to look around and go, I wonder if anybody likes me in here. Today, I kick that fucking door down, I walk in, and I ask myself, who do I like in here? That's the difference.
Yeah, and I do the same thing. I walk in and, man, with a smile on my face, my energy is exploding, and I just go with whatever feeling that hits me, and it says go to that person. I go to that person. I introduce myself. Usually by the end of the conversation, we're giving each other a hug, you know, and that connection is made. And it's people like that that will help you in your whole journey with everything, just not addiction. It's just with life in general.
Yeah, that's what it's about, you know, life in general.
Is there one last thing? Because I know you're a busy guy and it's been about an hour. Is there one last thing you'd like our audience? Do you have either a main message or what do you want our listeners to gain from this show, from the messages?
So I want to show you something, guys, real quick, and it's about breath work. Breath work is very important. So any cancers, any growths, any diseases, okay, only grow in a hypoxic area of the body. We only breathe 25% of our lung capacity. The reason why you feel so good when you go to the gym isn't because you're training, it's because you're taking in oxygen. So every morning, get up and do 10 exaggerated breaths. You will live longer. It's going to add 3 to 5 years on your life. You'll feel better. And remember the golden rule. If you aren't changing the world, what are you doing? If not you, who? If not now, when?
I love it. Great message. Great freaking message. And I love how you said that because I was at the gym one morning and I'm thinking somebody's got to do something about the stigma of addiction. And it took me probably about 10 or 15 minutes before my light bulb finally went off and I went, holy crap, I'm somebody. Why the hell? I got a platform now, right? Why can I not start working towards that? So thank you for all your messages. Yeah, just all the information that you shared today. And I love our energy together. I mean, you and I are looking at things the same way. And it doesn't happen a lot on the show because sometimes I'll have something say, some people go, you know, and I allow them that, right? They have their opinion and they have that right where they'll say, okay, well, I disagree with it. And that's how they look at it. It's not my job to change their mind. So I go with what I like and they go with what they like. It's but everything you shared today, man, was spot on of how I look at things. So thank you for taking time out of your freaking day to be on this show and share all this information because it's powerful.
Thank you, man. Thank you all. I really appreciate that. It's a pleasure to come on. And you know, we're all in this together, guys. Let's build some empires.
Yeah. Well, you shared your phone number. How else can people find your place?
So for those guys that are just listening and not watching, I spell my name with 2 B's, ROBBKELLY.com is the website. Jump on there. Loads of fun stuff. If you're into Facebook, I have 12 spaces left that I care. So mention this program or mention Al and I'll friend you and bring you on. We'll have some fun together. Any search engine, Dr. Robb Kelly, I'll come up with all sorts of fun stuff. If you're on Amazon for a second, buy the book. It all goes out, good causes. And the Robb Kelly Foundation was started 3 months ago. So if you've got 20 cents, 30 cents, jump on there. It's all on the website. And just have fun, guys.
I love it. Thank you. Dr. Robb, again, thank you for your time. Greatly appreciate it.
Thank you.
And I just want to say, hey, thank you to all our sponsors who have helped us make this show possible. Thank you to all our listeners, guys. None of this would be happening if it wasn't for your support. Thank you to all our guest co-hosts that come on. We're going to leave you with this as we do at the end of every show. Remember, addiction is giving up everything for one thing, and recovery is giving up one thing for everything. We're out.